So, tell you things about myself that we don't talk about, or the context in which certain things are meant. Um, my birth certificate says Negro. I have a problem with the fact that the country wants to remove the word Negro from census information and other things like that because a certain group of black intellectuals or white people or others, people, whomever, feel emotionally sensitive about the word itself. Piss off. And I say that to the eldest person who has the word Negro on their birth certificate, who wishes it not to be there, feels that it is derogatory and demeaning to a black American. I'm not black. You would have to call me pecan tan American or such. Because all that we're doing right now is swapping adjectives in generational situations to make people feel comfortable in front of other people when they're in their own skin. So, that's that. That's color. That's race. That's title. A big part of our life in our family that you've seen, and when I say our family, I'm talking about you and I first, and I'm saying your grandmother, your aunts, your uncle, your uncle. And just our family and our community in general. We are hip hop. There's a time period and generation of people that were the 60s and who marched, and they had the dogs sicked on them and hosed and thus and such and so on and so forth in a fight for recognition, and equality as such in this country. And oddly enough, these things had to happen so that we see the world that we live in today, which would otherwise be different if it were not the things that have already occurred. I live in the breath that I have been living in the breath that has been free of those things having taken place. I've lived in the breath of the sometimes I wonder if it's the or if it's the gut punch, the expulsion of air out of the system that I'm living in. That was a gut punch, and now I'm able to live in as a part of a generation of people who are just like in a different place or a different phase. It's kind of like being in phase one. Where Black America enters the electronic world. The babies that are coming forth are those who will be a part of that electronic world, that world that is distanced from slavery and is informed that it must look to the future and to embrace futuristic things so as to better ourselves. All right, all this kind of complicated psychological thoughts pretty much just go to say that I grew up not really being concerned about so much, or raised to wasn't worried about the civil rights movement growing up, just acting upon it and moving forward off of that wave that was forced through at that time and riding in on the tide. Okay, so the artistic and cultural part, and then still yet where the social angst and ails are in our lives, does lie in the fact that in my home you haven't been raised like Muslim. You haven't been raised any strict religious Christianity. Well, at least I don't exhibit those things. You're Jewish. So, out of respect in my Christianity out of respect for my knowledge and knowledge of Judaism in its origins, and I've decided to raise you Jewish. And I want you to be the best person on this planet that you are capable of being, because you're my son. Then comes hip hop. Yeah. We're hip hop. You are a part of this culture. You have not been raised to be superior to any other human being on the planet, other than for the fact that you achieve, which gives off a natural light and shows who you are, because that's how you get your shine. Now you can try TRY to shine, and then you'll end up being flawed, which is part of, I believe, what a number of African Americans have said over the years is some African Americans, there's a conversation in the diaspora of how Black American society faltered in integration, because now, though we had the same textbooks, there wasn't the same intention by the teachers to teach these children the lessons that were in the books. And now we have a system that is burdened with people being together who don't really want to be there. Don't really want you there. Not saying that any part of how things were going was fair, because it obviously wasn't fair. However, I'm not going to fight to go live in someone else's house. I believe in God that much that I do not have any desire for something that someone else has. That I cannot acquire on with my own two hands and with God's Spirit. So, there's kind of a wicked conversation that I really don't think you can necessarily get involved in, but I need to help you understand something about me. I'm at a point in my life now where I wonder, what would life have been? What would life be? Or is it now time to imaginate life, imaginate thoughts where we as men in hip-hop culture live out our lives without the necessity for the need to be verified by white people. I think it may have been the curse that was applied to them that they did have everything, because they not technically, but like when we be talking, it's like white people didn't have shit. And I'm saying it like, they were paying for the most. These Germanic tribes running through the forest and stuff, which is pretty dope in and of itself. There's some really dopeness to that. Then they managed to assimilate into other civilized. It's a weird word to say. Civilized cultures. It's weird to say because so many as them have used that word to have a negative, to cast negative dispersions upon other folks, like Native Americans. Germanic tribes are much like Native Americans, which is what the white folks come from, being the Germanic tribes, and that they were running through the woods, doing their thing. Okay? Not pushing off on nobody in a negative way. They were different. Yet, Europe, things move through. They, homogenize, move forward, but still yet there's an edge. And I think that white people have utilized their edge in a very shitty way. In a wrong way. Okay? So, let's now look at where we are today, based on looking at generations from the past, or generation of the past, and seeing the conversation that some are able to have now that says, hey, we suffered as a people more than we gained. But we live in today, so we can't be that snobby group of black folks, black Americans, who talk about the rest of the people in our current world in a derogatory way. We say these kind of offhand things like, and we were smarter and better and this and that and that and that, prior to integration, and the white man did this. Shut the fuck up. So why am I saying this to you? I'm saying this to you in the sense that, son, there's no perfect world, there's no perfect society. There's certain things about how I feel that, or individual statements that I can make that are legs of their own. They are legs of their own. They don't have any. They're spikes. They're spikes. So for me to say to you, when other people are judging by what they see and not the heart, they will at some point hear me saying to a white person, I don't like black people. No, I don't like the way some people who are black have looked at things in life and are putting it out to the masses and are painting a picture that is distorted in the present, that is based upon a reveal of the past, and is emphatic negative, made out as a emphatically negative statement. I do wonder what it would be like at this particular point for Black Americans, African Americans, Negroes, all of us, to focus on ourselves individually, personally. And this is why I'm focusing on hip hop, because I don't see any other mental space where we can homogenize the present with the future, without disrespecting certain parts of the past that have been missed. Our art, our culture, our intellectual property. Our discussions of W.B. Du Bois, our discussions of Booker T. Washington, our discussions of Dr. George Washington Carver. We live in a world that is strictly economics. And yes, son, I teach you to be economical. I teach you about economics. I'm giving you that simple lesson up to this particular point because if I need you to respect the thing that is what? I need you to respect the most common rallying point, which is money. Internationally, everyone respects money because the way I've had you look at it is that money is a representation of who you are, and you have the ability to obtain more of it and utilize it well. Utilize it to the best of your ability. Utilize it productively, positively. Not utilize it to be flamboyant or a punk. Wasteful. Just something to be burned in ashes, as I've done. Or I had done. I had done with extreme curiosity. Extreme curiosity and no direction, but yet I was searching. Now, in that search, I came out back and forth a few times, and like a car swerving, not skidding left, skidding right, when you're trying to get, fishtailing through my 20s. officially into my 20s. You can drive a car fast, son. Really freaking fast. But you slow down, you modulate when you see that there's trouble ahead. You don't take a jet plane and fly it at any speed and then decide to go and dive it into the water. Okay. Our life isn't a cartoon. Something's made for something, you use it as something. You don't take a plane and decide to go fly into restricted airspace around a nuclear facility or a power plant or the White House. It's just things we don't do because that's to do those things shows a lack of common sense. So I want you to be smart. And that would be being smart. Just exercise common sense. Utilize your skill set to get the most out of your effort and your labor to make the most money possible. To make the most money possible. And to do good things with it. And that's what I want for you, son. That's what I want for you.